Hey folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to a brand new Let's Play for Europa Universalis 4! We are playing as Savoy. This is on the patch, I guess it's called the Austria patch, that got paired up with the Emperor expansion. Now, some of you may say, hey, you've already played as Savoy. That's true. As a pre-release special event stream, participated in a big multiplayer game, about 30 people, various content creators and Paradox staff and things like that, where I did play as Savoy, and I thought it was really interesting. I thought it had a fantastic mission tree, and I was eager, and I talked about it multiple times during the stream, to come back and play this in single player. Because, I made certain friends and alliances with, real life people that I wanted to more or less, be loyal to while we played, which precluded certain types of actions and expansion. Also, we only played for about 100 years. So I want to see where we could take this bad boy in here and what kind of colors we might switch to at some points in the Let's Play. Anyway, more on that later. Let's talk about a situation. So obviously it's the 11th of November in 1444. It is the start of the game. All settings are set to default and not playing on Iron Man mode, which I don't normally for the recordings in case there's a technical issue and I have to do a rollback. We are this lovely pink country over here with really, we're just a giant snaky boy. I mean, literally, it is just a series of linear provinces over here is what we've got, with a bunch of the Alps in the way. Geographically, a little bit awkward. In real life, the Duchy of Savoy was only formed in 1416, so we're not even quite 30 years old at this point. Our ruling family, let's go over here. We've got Duke Ludo here of Savoy, which is our dynasty, currently 30 years old. We do have the Sinner. Tolerance of true faith goes down. This is actually kind of annoying because this is a penalty to our sort of our unrest situation in all places of our primary religion, which is Catholic, and obviously, it's all Catholic over here right now. So that is going to lead to higher unrest than normal, which is a little bit frustrating, although I don't think will be much of an issue in our core provinces. It'll mostly be that countries or provinces that will already have problems with whiny people, i.e. provinces we conquer with a lot of separatism, will be that much more extra whiny. On the other hand, we're just... Wait, what? So we have a -2 national arrest over here. Oh, okay, sure, fine. We've got an heir who's 9 years old, kind of messed up, not great stats over here with a 3-2. We could go and instantly disinherit our heir. I think we might. I mean, losing 50 prestige certainly hurts, right? It'll put us negative prestige. We'll have various penalties and things like that. But I think it's worth doing this because this is pretty poor. I try not to complain too much if my ruler has a total of 6 points. I'm like, all right, it's fair enough. But I'd really like 10 or more to consider it good. We got 10 over here with our initial ruler. Hey, that's great. I'm not going to whine too much about that. 5, all right, let's admit it. That's pretty bad. Let's do this. Oof. And hope we get an heir relatively soon. Luckily, we're not about to die, so hopefully we will be okay. Hopefully we don't end up in a personal union under something like France or something. Wow, that would never happen. That totally happened in the multiplayer game. We'll come back to more of this in a scooch. We've got 2 cultures already accepted, Piemontese and Occitan over here. We've also got the presence of Swiss and Ligurian. We have a lot of cultures mixed in over here. At some point, we may have to decide a little bit as to whether we're going to do some culture conversion, accept more cultures, or how we want to play it. Diplomatically over here, hey, we got 2 vassals. Remember I talked about the weird borders? It's not entirely as clear as it might look. If we switch over to diplomatic map mode over here, you can see in the bluish colors, we have Geneva here and Monferrato over here. We'd also very much like to pick up Saluzzo as quickly as possible, either through vassal or annexation, because one of our earliest missions is not this one. Is it the Piedmont one? Yeah, right over here. Unified Piedmont right here is to own the core provinces of Saluzzo and Monferrato. Well, we have Monferrato. I mean, not as a core, it's a vassal, but that's okay, we can integrate it. But we need to pick up Saluzzo at some point to be able to proceed in our mission tree. While we got the screen open, let's talk about the rest of the mission tree over here. There's a lot of conquesty kind of things, right? So Unified Piedmont obviously requires us to take the next province. The reward of this is we do get a bunch of base taxes in Torino. This is very important. Right now, our capital is here in Siam Sudbury. I should really look up what this province is modernly and Anglo-y called, because there's no way it still has this name, right? I don't know. I don't know anything about geography or histomorphy, so I might be completely wrong about that. But here's the deal with Torino. We will actually get, as we progress through here, we'll actually get a decision at some point to move our capital to Torino, which we are 100% going to do. First of all, I think the decision gives us extra development in Torino, which is going to be great. The other nice thing about it, if we take a look at the trade situation, which is going to be a major topic of this playthrough, because, well, it's always a topic of, well, honestly, pretty much any EU4 playthrough, trade is a significant part of the game. But I specifically really love the trade aspect of EU4, and it's often when I use to guide my expansion plans, because first of all, it makes a lot of great fiscal sense, and second of all, it feels really cool to dominate in trade. So by moving our capital to Torino, it will move our primary trade location. I was gonna say trade port. Yeah, trade city. It's not a port, but it will also move our primary trade city to Torino as well. Now, we can, of course, manually move our trade city to somewhere in the Genoan trade node at some point whenever we want. It costs us points. This just saves us some points and does that. And I think we're going to want to end up in the Genoan trade node because it's going to be quite wealthy. Currently, we do collect trade. You can see our main trade port here is in the Champagne trade node, and it's not bad at 8.2 gold, actually. I mean, Genoa is already a little bit better. On the other hand, we have a little bit more trade power in this node currently. Not a ton, 2%, 7%. We don't have a ton of trading potential yet, but that's going to be a thing. Anyway, so moving to Torino is going to be a lovely thing. And so Unified PMO giving us a bonus to Torino and stuff is going to be great. And then it gives us some more claims as well. And you tend to see this a lot, right? Through some of the military stuff. It's take some land, get some permanent claims somewhere else. Take that land, get more permanent claims, and so on and so forth. Once we've got PMO, the next mission would be to conquer Genoa, which I think is just, yeah, all provinces in this, but you can see from the glow when I mouse over, I think it's just these two provinces over here. Taking out Genoa would actually be really, really, really nice for us. They're one of our major trade competitors in the Genoan trade node, and also taking Genoa itself would be really great because it's a world port. Level 3 coastal center of trade would be gorgeous, and that would probably, just taking those two provinces, and in particular Genoa itself, or Genova, I suppose, Genova, would probably be enough to give us a pretty substantial slice of the Genoan trade pie. I don't know if it would be 50% by itself, but it would probably start to bring us damn close. There's a lot of provinces here and a lot of centers of trade and whatever, but it's going to count for a lot. And then if we get some ships going and things, that's going to be swell as well. So that was which one? Oh, Genoa over here. Then there's going to be a few more things down here. Sardinia. So taking Corsica and Sardinia is definitely a goal. It is interesting that the way it draws the border, because there's certain things. Oh, maybe not for this decision. It might be for another one. It might be for the tag switch. You need I think you need 3 things in total over here. One of them I think has to be this province over here, Calais. So you can have 3 of the 4 of them, but I think one of them have to be there. We'll take a look at the tag switching decision a little bit down the road. All right, another thing we've got is take Provence. Now this will be a little bit more tricksy, because you can see taking Provence, first of all, it's 5 provinces we don't have currently, 2 of which are already owned by France, which is going to be a major problem, 1 of which is already owned by the Papal States, which could also be a little bit finicky, and the rest, actually I guess it's 6 provinces, and the rest is owned by Provence, which France is going to want, and they do also start off allied to France in this particular scenario, so that's a little bit frustrating, and might be a little bit tricksy. We'll see when we can pull that off. So that's Provence over here, which then leads to Savoyard Occitania, which means beating up France some more. So this might take a little bit longer to get there. And the thing is, the reward here, again, just a bunch of permanent claims. The reward here is not bad. I mean, local unrest for 30 years. 30 years isn't, in a sense that meaningful, but it will be rewarded after we take a bunch of territory over here. So basically helps deal with the fact that we're, it'll help counter some of the separation anxiety and some of the autonomy that, of course, these things will start with. And then permanent claim in all European provinces of Gascon culture. So, and Ile-de-France area, which is Paris. So it's basically keep expanding into France. All right. The 2 things on the right are not directly conquer linked. which means they're going to be a lot easier and more consistent for us to achieve on kind of a fixed timeline. So first, strength in number over here. What we need is we have to have an army that is 10,000 or bigger, which we've already got. And then we need an ally who's stronger than us and who likes us a fair bit. Cool. The follow-up mission is one of the most interesting missions I think I've seen in the tree. It's a little, in any tree, it's a little weird to read, and it'll also, once we have an ally, it'll start to introduce their name in here, but don't get too focused on whichever country shows up in this list. The way you parse this, basically, is we need to be allied to 2 countries who are rivaled to each other. This is what has to happen. We need to be allied to 2 countries who hate each other, but both countries have to, A, agree to be our ally, which can be kind of tricky, and B, they have to like us by 120. And I think there's going to be, what, like a minus 150 malus to their opinion because we're going to be allied to one of their rivals. And one of them also has to have a big army as well, which, I mean, that should mostly be okay once we've got the alliances. This is going to be the trickiest one in this particular branch. After that, it's build some forts. And it's pretty cool because then we get a bunch of kick-ass fortification and defensiveness, which will be great with all of our mountains and things like that. Anyway, and then military self-reliance is just still be, you know, kind of kick butt in terms of army. The rightmost mission tree over here starts with Prosper and PMO. All we have to do is we have to have Torino has to have a 20 total development. Keep in mind we're going to get some freebies over here and from another event as well. And we have to have 120 total development as well. So as we expand more, our development will go up. And if we develop something like Torino, it'll go up over there. In the multiplayer game, I was quite happy to play tall, and this became a really, really nice way to boost that up. And yeah, this is where we get the City of Torino event. There you go. This is the event, I believe, that lets us switch our capital to Torino. So this is very, very, very appealing for us. So that's the mission tree. I mean, we'll look at more of the stuff down below here, but we'll get there when we get there. We like tag switching, I say with hesitation, which is weird, because normally in EU4 games, or really any game, if there's a button that lets me tag switch or switch what my country is, it's like I have to hit it, because it's just cool, right? Here's the problem. Sardinia PMO, people, I don't know, there's like this mimetic thing about the color and whatever. I hate it. I think it looks terrible. The other downside to forming Sardinia PMO is because your name is so long, it makes your font smaller on the map. You know, like compare, I don't know, like the Teutonic Order, right? If it was just like a 5-letter word like Savoy is, its font would be much more impressive over here. So when we switch to Sardinia PMO, our font is going to be tiny and really annoying. That being said, I mean, there's some neat benefits to switching to some of these things, so we'll probably still do it anyway, but it's going to be a speed run at that point to try to like upgrade to becoming the Italian nation. Do I specifically care about becoming Italy, yes or no? Not really, except this button exists, therefore I must do it. So we'll see how it goes. We're probably going to want to stay within the HRE. That might be a little bit tricky. There are some new HRE mechanics in the Emperor expansion here, and we will get a choice. If we choose to stay in the HRE, depending on how things go, we could actually get some pretty significant penalties to things if we don't leave with Italy. On the other hand, those are negated if we're allied to Austria, and I think being allied to Austria is definitely going to be one of our goals here in preparation for that, because I think I like the idea of staying in the HRE. It gives us a little protection against France, but more importantly, means we can wage some wars within the HRE. And not have the Emperor get called in against us. Although we are going to have to worry a little bit about unlawful territory, which is probably why we're going to weigh ourselves a little bit more on vassalization. We're nearly 14 minutes into this. We haven't unpaused or in fact taken a move other than disinheriting our heir. On the other hand, I feel like my words per minute count is pretty high, so we're doing a lot of planning and thought in here as we go. Money-wise, we don't have a heck of a lot coming in right now, so I think we're going to go with no advisors to start off with. I almost certainly do want to put a focus on something, and usually it's either going to be admin or military. What I think I might do is actually pop the military focus first. Oftentimes I put admin first for a couple of reasons. One, while temples have not the greatest rate of return in general, it still can be really nice to get them unlocked and build one or two early on. Just, it does help your economy, and it, you know, at the start of the game, obviously it's going to pay for itself in the not too long run. The other thing is admin technology will unlock ideas. So once we get to level 5, it's an idea group, and it's really nice to unlock one of those as quickly as possible. On the flip side, or getting your military focus on helps you get the very important level 4 military tech, which gives you military tactics, which is unbelievably critical to help you win battles and lose less manpower. Plus, you get this massive 0.5 boost of morale over here. This is a very significant level. And the second level is when we get our... sorry, over here, there we go, the military, the new infantry as well. So level 4 and level 5 are just dramatic power spikes in military, and being behind that, it's like it's as a percentage of where you are now versus what you will be when you hit level 4, and then where you will be when you hit level 5 is just mind-boggling what those numbers mean. 0.5 land morale, you know, once you're going, you know, from tech 15 to tech 16 is still nice, but doesn't matter as much because as a percentage it's not as significant, you know what I mean? But right now it's like, oh, it's make or break, baby. So I think what we might do is we might put a military focus on. The other thing we should do is talk about our ideas. I suspect the ideas we're going to go with in this run will be fairly similar to what we did in multiplayer. However, in multiplayer, we grab defensive ideas, and defensive ideas are awesome. They are so good. I think they don't get enough love. First of all, level 2, you get a 15% boost to morale of armies. And this is insane. I think it used to be 25%. They nerfed it down to 15, and it's still really good. Morale wins battles. It's really, really, really nice. You know, more tradition, maybe this one doesn't, I don't care about it as much. The extra land maneuver pip is really nice because it does let you have a much higher chance of being in a situation where you can attack across a river but not get a penalty for it, which is kind of gorgeous. Anything that saves you a little bit of money is always good. This becomes really nice. Forts are cheaper. Okay, that's good. If it saves you money, sure, fine. But the fort defense modifier. If you don't know what fort defense modifier does, is it basically means it takes longer for each tick of a siege to occur, which means it will take longer for sieges to happen. We also have a lot of mountains, which makes siege timers longer, and mountains tend to have very low supply, which means that armies that are trying to siege you, first of all, any army in enemy territory suffers 1% attrition, period. And secondly, if they're over their supply limit because of mountains and things like that, then they're going to get a lot more attrition. So all of a sudden now people are forced to siege for an extremely long time while they're just burning off tons of manpower to attrition. And of course, when you finish defensive ideas, you get an extra flat 1% attrition for enemies in there, which makes it crippling for people to try to siege you out. This is one of the strategies we're trying to employ in the multiplayer. It turns out the one time where we got in a significant war that we were actually being sieged, it didn't matter as much as we'd hoped because people were able to use massive artillery barrages to punch through things. Because in multiplayer, people are pretty smart. They knew what was coming for them, and they decided to basically burn a lot of military power to do those bombardments to bypass some of this stuff. I don't think the AI would do the same. So this does turn out to be pretty good. On the other hand, I don't know if the AI calculates the threat that this poses when they think about the invasions, so it might not dissuade them from attacking. On the other hand, it might help with our defense. Now, that was really good. However, what I might do instead, because we're almost certainly going to be taking a cool idea on the left. I think, is it quality idea? Oh, where do you get the mouse over here? The quality plus innovation gives you that 10% combat ability. Is that the one we're thinking of? Is it innovation? It's not administration we want. What's economic? Right, that's what it was. Economic plus plus quantity, I guess, was one of the things we were talking about. Does give you the development cost decrease, which is great if you're going to play purely tall, which is one of the things we're talking about in multiplayer, but I don't know if it's as much of a thing over here. I often don't take military ideas first, but we might still. If I put the focus on military, obviously we want like that level 4, level 5 military tech, and then I might, because we'll have the focus on military anyway, I might take a military idea first. I don't know what order exactly. One of the things we considered in the multiplayer was doing some sort of colonialism. We're in a tricky situation here because we've got to make our way all the way out of the Mediterranean before we can do anything. On the other hand, as a trade power, it would be really nice if we could make sure to encourage trade to come to the Genoan trade node. But really, maybe that's more of a military expansion through Suez and into the Gulf of Aden over here may actually be a little bit more what we want. All right, let's go ahead and just make a decision at this point. I'm just going to go ahead and focus on military. I think we're going to be fairly happy with that. Crown lands. So the estates have changed completely in the 1.30 quote-unquote Austria patch, the one that came with Empire here. Estates have been completely redone in a way that's way less fiddly and way less micro, which I think is a wonderful and good thing. You don't assign individual provinces to estates anymore. Instead, the estate land is represented by these percentages. So this is the amount that each of these estates control, as well as the crown land over here. Now, if the crown land is under 30%, where do we get the... yeah, there we go. If it's less than 30%, we get some penalties. And it's just barely. Annoyingly, it's 0.002% under 30%. Thanks, Paradox. I'm really happy about how you set up Savoy over here. So we're getting a 10% penalty to our national tax modifier. Absolutism doesn't matter right now because we don't have an absolutism unlocked. The liberty desire from subject development could be a little bit annoying. It's not really an issue right now, but it would be nice to get rid of that. Excuse me. So there's a couple of ways for us to get more crown land. First of all, we can just hit this button to seize land. So this will seize 5%. It'll lower everyone by proportional amount and give us 5% more. And all estates will lose 20 loyalty. And there's a note here, if an estate drops below 30, they might get rebellion. So nobility's at 50, clergy's at 50, burghers are at 50. Right now, if I unpause, they both have an equilibrium point, or they all have an equilibrium point. You can see here for the burghers at 33%. So they're naturally drifting towards that. Unless there's a rounding error, assuming I do this before I unpause, I'm pretty sure if we hit this, we won't get a rebellion. If we do, I think it's still going to be fairly small. I'm going to hit this now. There we go. No rebellion. So that's great. Yeah, they're exactly at 30. We no longer have the low crown land penalty, which is lovely. And the fact is, we might go ahead and give away more of our crown land. But I think for now, that was a pretty safe button to go ahead and hit. Let's talk about these estates here as well. What we can do is we can grant privileges to these various estates, which have a variety of different effects. Each one of them has something that gives us more power. Now, enacting religious states will lower clergy loyalty, doesn't change their influence. It'll cost me 10% crown land, lower max absolutism, and again, absolutism's not really a thing. I want the admin power, but this might be a little rough to run negative. I don't know what the meta is going to be on that. It'll be interesting to see. Most of them also have some sort of monopoly thing that we can do. It has to run for 10 years. You can't undo it. If you do, it doesn't cost you any crown land. In fact, just increases loyalty, which is really nice. It gives you mercantilism. It also gives you some money right away, but then you don't get income from one of the trade goods. I don't know how the math works out. I'm assuming over the course of 10 years, we would lose money from this. But getting money earlier is usually better because you can use that to fund various things. I'm kind of tempted to go ahead and hit this button. And I may very well do that. The oversight by the clergy is also very safe. It gives loyalty and influence to them, but doesn't cost us crown land at the cost of only lowering max absolutism. I'm going to go ahead and run this. It's going to be okay. We want them to be in a good mood and have some influence because we get some benefits from that. I think the nobility will have one as well. Right of council. Yep, just over here. We'll run that. That's going to be an easy decision. Let's see. And there's probably a burger one. Free enterprise right over there. Excellent. And then we can go ahead and hit some more of the buttons. One of the things I really like in the burgers here is... Oh, it might not be in the list right now. It might depend on other things showing up. There is one of these with the burgers. Oh, there. No, right here. It gives you 5 5-year loans at 1% interest. 1% is really low. I think our normal interest is 4%. Now, it does cost us some mercantilism and gain us some inflation. So, there's definitely some cost to this. Plus, while this runs until you pay back all the loans, we do get some reduced trade efficiency there. But this is such an insanely potent button to hit. I think we will be using this a fair amount because I think it's a really good thing. Again, sort of, you'll lose a little bit of money long term, but the short-term gains are huge, and hopefully you can use that to fund something good, like funding a war that will expand your land, or maybe funding the development of buildings. I think we're going to come back and hit some of these Diplo power buttons here. I don't know if the penalty to crown land scales less than 30. Or if it's just a hard change from one versus the other. I actually don't know, and maybe I should just start hitting these buttons and see. Let's wait a scooch before we do that. Okay. let's make some alliances and see what our situation is. First of all, who hates us? England hates us. I mean, we're just going to go and rival anyone who hates us, because that seems fine. Okay. Actually, interesting question. Austria, Burgundy, France. See, this is, well, this is good and bad. Because here's the thing. By rivaling England, France will like us a little bit more. So we could probably ally with them early on, which would be very good for survival. Austria won't like that. On the other hand, if we do somehow ally both Austria and France, we end up in a good situation. You're not willing right now, which is interesting. We could probably just buff our relationship. We only have 2 diplomats right now, though. All right, let's go through the rest. So Lithuania, I don't know why they hate us, but sure, that's going to be fine. And Switzerland, super lots of makes sense. There's going to be a lot of conflict over here, which is something we didn't see in the multiplayer, because I actually made friends and alliances with Switzerland. We came up with plans to help divide up some of northern Italy and things, and it was actually a lovely, lovely, lovely time. So we've got this. We definitely need some allies. France, you'd ally me right away. It seems like a good idea. Obviously, long term, we're going to have some real conflict with France, but that is some time away. I might start... Well, actually, France is going to be a good one to complete our powerful neighbors thing as well, right? So in our mission here, strength in number, we need an ally who's stronger than us and an opinion of 150. So what I'll probably do is start improving relations with you right away and not ally Austria, because I want to hit that number. Castile also hates England. I don't like this enough, but it might change up. Well, maybe we'll unpause before we go and do any more of these. In terms of the fleet, I think what I'm going to do... I wonder if anyone would be willing to buy these ships. How do you... If we go diplomacy, economy... Is there not an easy sell ships option? Sell ships... Okay, I might leave them around for a second and then see if we can get some sales. I could try selling it to someone random. Need to be in supply range. Castile. Sell ships. Are you interested in some transports? No? No. Yeah. And see, here's the thing. Oh, you'd buy my my light ships, but no. I think what I'll do, just because there might be someone who will buy it, but it's often I don't like it. We're not worth the trouble. I'm just going to disband these to save money. It's not enough ships here to really make a big difference, and unless we were going to immediately conquer Corsica, it doesn't make much sense. And Corsica doesn't have a fort. Even if we find ourselves in a war against Genoa, we can take Corsica in a peace deal because it has no fort. And we could always build, you know, a couple of ships in when it comes up. Our trade fleet here, I mean, it's not much of a trade. We will protect trade in the Genoan trade node, and we will tell you to go home at war. That's going to be fine, and we'll build up a few more over there. I might send a diplomat to go, and actually, I really am going to want to go and declare war against Saluzzo right away, aren't I? Like, ASAPly. And I don't have any kind of claims against it. In fact, I don't have any claims whatsoever. It's worth noting that Switzerland doesn't have any right now either, but they will probably get some through an event or a mission. Okay, we'll build a spy network in Saluzzo and try to see if we can snag them, like, immediately. I don't want to build any troops right away because we want to make sure that France is 1.5 times stronger than us, which I think right now... It's interesting. And it just has the X... like, period, but it doesn't show which subparts. It could be, I mean, we could check the ledger, I guess, to see how strong France might be. Yeah, they have 20,000, so that's going to be fine. If we can get their opinion of us to 150, that will complete that mission. So hopefully we can get that done. I think what we're going to do, heck, we might not even pause this video. I might just put a cut in here. That way, if I take a second between episodes and confirm that I haven't forgotten anything, that might be a swell idea. I'm also going to give a little think to maybe pushing more of these estate buttons. We will see. Folks, thanks for watching. I hope this is going to be a fun series. I'm excited to be playing some EU4 again. I hope you are too, with the series that, I don't know, I'm probably going to call something like Singular Savoy or something to emphasize the fact that it is single player, as opposed to our multiplayer run. Yeah, excited to see where this is going to go. Excited to see how many tags we swap to, if we form Italy, if we, you know, take big control over trade, if we blob out all over Europe. I don't know. Are we going to stay Catholic? Are we going to switch to Protestant? We do have some... Oh, we didn't actually talk about our national ideas here, Savoy. Let me do that first, because it's very relevant. So right now, we do have a boost improving relations, which also, I believe, helps with burning off aggressive expansion, which is nice. We got a +1 Diplo rep, which will make everyone like us more, and really help with managing our vassals. When we complete all of our ideas, we do get a 10% national tax rate modifier. Although by the time that happens, we may have tag switched. Some of these stay the same or are very similar when we switch to Sardinia, Piedmont, but not everything does. We've got extra fort defense over here, which is fine. We got a bunch of prestige and papal influence, which might influence us to stay Catholic. I don't remember if that stays or not when we tag switch, what the ideas are. Mercenary maintenance, if we do have a lot of money, but not a lot of manpower, we can do some mercs a little bit cheaper. More missionary strength over here. We've got cheaper idea cost if we get to this point. Of course, by the time we get to here, we'll obviously have unlocked a lot of ideas to unlock this, but it's still going to help a little bit. Alpine tolls, we get more trade power, not too shabby, and then legitimacy over here for more legitimacy. But again, there's going to be some tag switching, I think. So some of these are going to the Sardinian one, Sardinia Piedmont, Sardinia Piedmont. Ideas have some overlap and some things that are slightly different, and I can't remember them off the top of my head, but we probably will tag switch. Okay, let's wrap this up here, folks. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to see you guys next time. Bye bye.